Okay, here we go. This is the 70s Chicago's album ranking. Long overdue, really, since I've been reviewing a lot of these albums, and we'll just get right into it. I'm gonna go from worst to first. This is subjective, and there's no right or wrong answers, and I only consulted myself and the music for the answers. This is all about me and you learning about me and what I like. And sometimes this is about what I think is the best, but sometimes it becomes about what is my favorite or which works the best for me, or even which are the ones that I listen to the most. And I didn't factor in any other rankings or lists or Rolling Stone or All Music or sales. This is just about what I like. And, really, that's what these videos are about. Of course, I've listened to other people in the past rank Chicago CDs, but nothing recently. Okay, so I'm not under the influence of anybody. And so, what are the rules here? No greatest hits, Chicago 9, or live albums like Chicago 4. This is just the studio albums. Even though I'll reference Chicago 4 many times, it's when discussing Chicago's 1, 2, and 3 albums, they were playing live at Carnegie Hall, and I love Chicago 4. And that's basically it. I won't be talking about the 80s albums. This is, when did these end? Like through 80, like through 79, I think is this one. Okay, anyway, let's go. Ready? Here we go. Number 10, Hot Streets, 1978. Are you surprised? Saturday Night Fever came out in 1977, and that's a huge landmark movie. That was a tidal wave for disco. And the first two songs are disco songs. Little Miss Lovin' sounds like a pop rock tune, and it's a pretty good song, actually. Track 4 is Hot Streets, has a nice flute spot, but goes back to the disco beat. And Donnie Dacus has some nice guitar leads and solos on that track. Track 5, Take a Chance, 2, Dacus leads. 3 or 4 of the tracks are disco tracks. The rest sound like regular Chicago. It's unfortunate they went that route, but then, you can't blame them. Disco was very popular, and really it's just a percussion trick of changing the beat of the drum kit by Danny and Laudero de Oliveira. And what else about Hot Streets? Ain't It Time sounds like it could be on any other Chicago album. But, you can just tell that they were changing without Terry and without Guercio. They're just they're a different band, and you can tell by the cover. And number 10, Hot Streets. Okay. Number 9, Chicago 11, 1977. What I call the Atlas Roadmap Gazetteer album. Gazetteer. You can just tell listening to this that they're lower on creative energy than ever before. It's still Chicago with Terry Kath, but they don't have the same creative spark as before. And even considering the lack of amazing songs and creativity, this album is still, it's pretty enjoyable to listen to. I dislike Policeman, Take Me Back to Chicago, and Vote for Me, but they aren't skips. Those 3 tracks just barely pass the test. The rest of the songs are good. However, I'll conclude by saying Chicago 11 is a notch below the other albums. Maybe you like it. Cool album cover though, and it does have some decent. The first song's good. Mississippi Delta City Blues. Mississippi Delta City Blues. Blah. Okay, number 9, Chicago 11. Number 8, Chicago 10, 1976. With Chicago 10, we're creeping upward in quality quickly. The main thing with the Chocolate album is there isn't a track that can be considered a skip or a near skip. This one has much better energy and awareness than Chicago 11 and Hot Streets. However, it's still missing some key ingredients that make up from Prime Plum Chicago. Notably, Terry Cass' involvement is yet reduced again, and Another Rainy Day in City is probably the weakest song. Gently I Wake You and You Get Up are terrific Chicago songs. Also, Once or Twice, You're on My Mind, and Skin Tight. And even the Schmupsy Peter Cetera ballad called "If You Leave Me Now" is a quality song. Solid album, the Chocolate Bar album, but just a little bit behind the others. Okay, number 7, Chicago 8 from 1975. In my mind, I had the Cardinal album a notch higher than the Chocolate Bar album, but then I listened to them back to back, and now I'm not so sure about that. It's much closer than I thought. I think what elevates this album is tracks 7 through 10. Oh, Thank You, Great Spirit, Long Time No See, and Ain't It Blue, and even Old Days. That it has some Beatles influence, and in moments sounds like Jimi Hendrix, Pink Floyd, and the Doobie Brothers. You hear a lot of different stuff on here. When I think of the Doobie Brothers, China Grove, you ever hear the song China Grove? Do 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 do. That's what Hideaway. Whenever I hear the song Hideaway, which is a Terry Cass song, I think of the Bart Simpson going do 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 do. Okay, that's it. Number 7, Chicago 8. I had a pretty good stage with this album. I like it quite a bit. Good album. Number 6 is the Wood album, Chicago 5 from 1972, or the Wood Paneling album. It's a cool album cover. What's good about it is how compact it is, being the very first Chicago single LP. It's not a double record. And the first track, a hit by, I always say it wrong, Verace. A hit by Verace is a banger. And Now That You've Gone has one of the most rockin' moments of Walter Parasiter on sax that you'll find. The other songs are terrific too, including Saturday in the Park, Dialogues Parts 1 and 2, literally Terry and Peter singing back and forth, having a dialogue. And it's kind of a poppy song for Chicago, but it works. And the version of While the City Sleeps, it works. That's track 6. It has some funk to it, While the City Sleeps. And so does State of the Union. It has some funk. It's one of my favorite Chicago tracks. Bada boom, bada bop. It does that whole thing. So Chicago 5, the Wooden album, and good cover. And, they're just knocking out albums left and right at this stage. Okay, number 5. Chicago 3 from 1971. This album is the most Chicago thing ever. I actually almost want to rank it higher, but I can't. This album is constructed around 3 main suites. The Travel Suite by Robert Lamb, An Hour in the Shower by Kath, and then this magnificent, it's called Elegy by Pankow. Elegy is the main payoff of the album for listening to some random songs like the opening 4 songs. Sing a Mean Tune Kid, Loneliness is Just a Word, What Else Can I Say, and I Don't Want Your Money, plus Mother, Add Lowdown, which are not part of the Travel Suite. Elegy has this big, jazzy, big band feel to it, and it represents the best of Chicago. And the Travel Suite is excellent too, and it's built around the songs Free and Free Country. Travel Suite has a drum solo called Motorboat to Mars, and it just builds and builds and builds. And most, but not all, the Travel Suite comes up in Chicago 4, Disc 2. That's how cool it is. And The Hour in the Shower is not Terry Cass' best, most supreme work, but he pulls it off. That's also on Chicago 4, Disc 4 too. If you have the Rhino release like me, this thing, Chicago 4. But yeah, it's The Hour in the Shower by Terry Kath. Anyway, Chicago 3. Cool album cover. Maybe their coolest one. It's decked out in stars and stripes and red, white, and blue. And just a good album. Okay, number 4. Chicago 7, 1974. The Gold album. The Gold album starts with 5 ridiculously good percussion-heavy jazz-infused instrumentals before giving away to Robert Lamb's Lifesaver. The album might be a tough point of entry for some, or even hard to get into after years of being a Chicago fan, but I think this is top shelf stuff. This is the first double album that makes the list. Well, no, Chicago 3. But if you think about it, Chicago is backwards, as I typically don't like to listen to double albums. They wear me out over 80 minutes. But this one pushes all the way through to the end. I think I've been searching for so long by PlyoGuy. The way it ends, starting at the 3 minute mark until the end of the song, you really get a huge dose of funk in the album with Air, Lifesaver, Women Don't Want to Love Me, and Skinny Boy. I like Song of the Evergreens by Lee Lofton, but not Biblos, whatever. Wishing You Were Here reminds me of both the Beach Boys and Pink Floyd, and I do get a tiny sense of I want this album to end when Biblos comes on, but the album recovers quickly for a strong ending. And I always wonder when I'm listening to this if 105.7 WAPL out of Appleton used to play Skinny Boy, because it just sounds so familiar. And I think Robert Lamb also did a version of Skinny Boy on his own. And maybe that's what they used to play on like a solo album. I might be wrong about that. But anyway, I would argue that this album has the most and best contributions from Laudir de Oliveira, the Gold album. Another cool album cover. All right. Number 3. Chicago 2, 1970. There's so many highlights on this album. The whole thing is enjoyable from end to end. Sides 1 and 3 are just random songs. Sides 2 and 4 have the 2 suites. And actually side 3, you can consider that a suite too, at least half of it. Okay, the bedrock of the album is side 2, the Ballet for a Girl in Buchanan, tracks 6 through 12. PlyoGuy gets the whole side of an album to explore, which has the quadruple climax of West Virginia Fantasies, Color My World, and To Be Free, which is To Be Free is like a reprise of Make Me Smile. And the ballet is so good, they included it on the entire suite on Chicago 4, the triple live album I just showed you. And the second suite is, really the third suite. It Will Better End Soon, mostly driven by Robert Lamb with contributions from Walter, Peter, and Terry. But it's mainly a Robert Lamb kind of suite. First movement, second movement, third movement, fourth movement. It's just this is also on Chicago for Disc 2, but Where Do We Go From Here, the final song on the suite, comes up after some of the Travel Suite songs on Chicago 3. So they kind of like they're playing mind games with you on Chicago 4. That doesn't matter. This is what you got to listen to right here. Then there's the quick third suite I mentioned of 4 tracks that are mainly driven by Terry Kath and Peter Matz. They're called Memories of Love. At times it's like recalls Star Trek or Star Wars theme music, like orchestra music, and it's kind of big and grand. And lastly, I acknowledge that Chicago 2 might be your number 1 or number 2, and on your list. For me, I don't think it's their best. It's not even my favorite, but God, it's good. It's so good. It's excellent. It's a classic, really. Okay, we're getting pretty serious now. So, number 2, Chicago 6, 1973. The Dollar Bill Record. Yep, that's right. Are you surprised? In fact, I debated putting this at number 1. What I like about it is how tight and compact and fun it is. It seems like they're having a lot of fun making the record and playing the record. And the fact that they are pulling in even more elements of funk and jazz seems to have charged them up. Even the Terry Kath ballad called Jenny has a funky element to it. Jenny's my least favorite song on the record, okay? But the best tracks on this album are Critics' Choice, Darlin' Dear, What's the World Coming To, Something in the City, Changes People. Hollywood, and Rediscovery, which is excellent. Rediscovery is excellent. And Feeling Stronger is the best song on the album, which is also the final track on the album. And, traditional Chicago fans or people will say these songs are too short and not enough spacious jamming like Chicago 2 or Chicago 6. 7, sorry, 7. But also, that can't be every record. I mean, not every single record can have everything you want. It can't be everything that you're looking for. And it can't be awesome prog or awesome jazz or funk. Sometimes you just have to have tighter, quicker songs. And, even for myself, what do I think could make this better? Yeah, maybe if every song had an extra minute or 2 or 3 of just jamming or more Terry Kath solos, more keyboard instrumental ditties, more James Pankow stuff. I mean, he's real great when he gets the freedom to go off and have a brass section for 90 seconds. Sure, that'd make it even better, and I would love it even more. But for now, for me, I'll keep it at number 2. And that leaves number 1. Here we go. Number 1, Chicago Transit Authority. 1969. Not only this is my favorite one to listen to, but I also think it's the best one. The band thinks highly of these songs too, because many of them are on Chicago 4. They make the album, including Does Anybody Really Know What Time It Is?, South California Purples, Beginnings, Introduction, and I'm a Man. But Listen, Listen is on the bonus disc of Chicago 4 with some alternative versions of Intro and Purples and Listen. My favorites are Introduction, Beginnings, Questions, Poem 58, Freeform Guitar, track 7, Purples. I love Purples. I'm a Man, and Liberation. Liberation is 15 minutes of jam where the band shows off their playing skills and what they're capable of. And it has everything. Fast drums, guitar, big bass, jamming, blues chord sequences, jazz chords, solos. It has everything. And that's what makes this one tops in my mind. The fact that the band gave themselves the space and to create and to explore and jam, and main songwriters from the band, Lamb, Kath, Pankow, all contribute. And it's not quite perfect, but I mean, is there really a perfect album? No, because even my most favorite albums of the world aren't perfect. This one's not perfect, but it's close. it's close. I don't want to sit here and nitpick it, so I won't pick apart songs. But this is the best one, and it's my favorite one. And the only weird thing about it is they had to change the name of the band, but they didn't change the name of the album. So it's still Chicago Transit Authority, but to me it's Chicago 1, or it's Chicago. It's their identity. Well, there you go. What do you think? Do you like it or hate it or love it? How would you rank it differently? What do you disagree with? You can leave a comment. You can leave your own list. You can tell me how much you disagree with me or agree with me. Maybe CTA is your favorite too. I don't know. I have a feeling I'm going to get panned for having Chicago 6 so high. I mean, I just think I'll say this. I've listened to this one the most because it's accessible. It's just it's easy to put in Chicago 6 and just listen to it, and you don't have to invest 70 minutes or 75 minutes. It's a quick album. It's like 45 minutes or something like that. And to me, that's a big deal when you can just pop in a record and enjoy it and have a beer and then you're done and then it's over. Okay, anyway. Here's the rundown. Number 10 is Hot Streets. Number 9 is Chicago 11, the Roadmap album. What's Hot Streets then? I guess that's the disco album. Number 8 is Chicago 10, the Chocolate Bar album. Number 7 is Chicago 8, the Cardinal album. Number 6 is Chicago 5, the Wooden Paneling album. Number 5 is Chicago 3. God dang. Good album. Great. I actually want to bump this up, but I can't. But it's Old Glory. It's the US, it's Uncle Sam, really. Number 4 is the Gold album, Chicago 7. If you like jazz and funk, you're going to like that one. Number 3 is Chicago 2, a legend landmark album in all of rock and roll and rock and jazz and everything. And it's probably your number 1. But for me, it's number 3. Number 2 is Chicago 6, the Dollar Bill album. And what a terrific album. And a picture of the band, too. I think this is the first one that has a picture of the band on it. Lastly, number 1, Chicago Transit Authority. Okay, well, there you have it. I hope you liked it. And like I said, if you leave a comment, that's great. I'll respond right away. If you like this video, you can click like. If you don't like this video, you can click like too. And then other of my videos that I have will come up, and YouTube will make those recommendations, and it helps in the algorithm and all that stuff. And where do we go from here? Next is probably an album review for Genesis Trespass. That's probably coming up next. All right, I'm out. Thank you.